story in Kane and Lynch is so important that there is just no way you can score a game like this without paying attention to the story. Kane and Lynch, compared to other games I've worked on, has definitely been the most brutal experience. You desperately look for something about it to identify with, but you definitely have to kind of find elements that what makes these guys tick, and you have to put yourself in that position. There's so much music and there's so much action going on that we don't want the whole thing to sound the same, and that became the challenge. Coming up with the sound for the different characters was, was something that we pretty quickly came up with. But how do you have a whole game at which you basically just kick ass through the whole game? How do you make that feel like a movie? The game is relentless. You're always just on a mission. You're always going somewhere. You're always doing something bad. So it's more like a stealth, suspense, action. That's the core of the score. Then of course Kane has his own theme, which is Kane's family portrait, which was written not really for a specific moment in the game, but it was more written as a kind of like a meditation on Kane. It reflects his regrets in life about what he's done and how it has affected his family, his wife, his daughter, and how it basically screws up their life. Kane's family theme is used throughout the game. It's used for moments when we want to feel the emotion that Kane is feeling, and even though there's a lot of aggressive in the game, cueing at a track like that, it certainly puts things in perspective and things become more cinematic. There are some new techniques that I've used for this, and it especially comes into effect from the interactive elements of the score, where the music is very layered and the music changes depending on what you do, depending on how much happens on the screen. And it's one of those, truly interactive scores in a sense that it doesn't just reflect, you've reached this point, cue track number 1, you've reached this point, let's play some more. It's more like it's always there and it's always changing. I don't know if it's harder to do interactive music, but it definitely requires a different kind of composer, a composer who knows the game, the game world, and knows what the gamer goes through. But when you go with the interactiveness, things become tricky, There's a whole lot of problems that show up that you have to solve. You can cue different layers at any time, depending, we got some action, let's, cue the action layer on top of what's already playing. So the challenge really becomes, how do you create a layer that still sounds good on its own, while at the same time it's meant to go together with layer 2, 3, 1, 2, and 3. But I find that more and more I get involved with the games early, and it's really helpful because you go through, in some ways you go through a little bit of what the team goes through. Sometimes games change, and sometimes you find out, well, this was the direction of the game, now we've changed it to this. Why did they do that? And if you're there from the early days, you know why they made that change, and all these kind of things, just subtle little things, really help you in order to come up with the perfect custom-made sound for the game.